Hey guys, welcome to a Wrestling Rumors Raw review presented by WrestlingRumors.net. With me, the star of the show, Sam Daley. I am Adam. Guys, we have a very, very special guest tonight. He is a 22-year ring vet as a WWE referee. He is the author of the book, The 3 Count, My Life in Stripes as a WWE referee. And he's an analyst on Aftermath TV's on Aftermath on Sportsnet 360 on Wednesday nights up in Canada. Mr. Jimmy Korderas. Jimmy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you two?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Super excited to have you on with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is pleasure for me.
Thank you. It's honestly, it's an honor for us to have a 22-year vet with us.
Yes,
Trust me, this is an honor. Jimmy? Did you get to catch Raw tonight?
Yeah, I was following along, a little bit of tweeting too. Got the TV right over there in the background, but you can't see it. But yeah, you know what? It wasn't bad. I mean, the business model has changed now with so many specials and so many pay-per-views going to the network. I know a lot of people say the go-home shows haven't been what they should be, but then again, like I said, the business model has changed, so you can't hit a home run every week.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, and I want to get your opinion on that as well. I feel like it's kind of hard to get in any kind of rhythm, especially when you're telling a story, but you have a pay-per-view every other week. I mean, 2 weeks in between for pay-per-views, it doesn't really, you're going straight from, the Fallout show straight to the go-home show. There's nowhere for any kind of filler. I mean, what do you think?
I was actually having this conversation with someone today. It's really cool that they're having so many pay-per-views back to back to back. Like they surprised us with King of the Ring and then Elimination Chamber. But really, the all in between, it hasn't really been that good. It was really good when they were building it up for a few weeks, and now it's just kind of stale. Like it's all too quickly. Like there's no build up for anything really. So I mean, I agree.
Okay, Jimmy, do you think the build ups have been a little rushed for some of these, or do you think in a way they don't need much building up?
It's funny. It's kind of like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because it almost seems like today's wrestling fans want immediacy. They want things right away. So then now when you give it to them right away, they're saying, we want a little bit of build. So again, it's one of those deals where you can't please everybody, but maybe a little bit rushed. I thought the Cena Owens rematch was a little bit rushed at first. I'm kind of okay with it happening 2 weeks later, only because the way when you look back at the Paul Heyman interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin when they did the podcast, and they were talking about promos, and they talked about where's the money at the end of the promo. I think John Cena and Kevin Owens both did a great job of delivering the money at the end of the promos, both last week and this week. So yeah, I am kind of looking forward to it. Does Cena need to get his win back at the pay-per-view? I don't think so. I think a better story could be told if Kevin Owens is that guy that just has John Cena's number, even though he's a relatively quote unquote air quotes here new guy, but he's got John Cena's number, and I think you could tell a better story that way.
That's what I've been a big proponent of. I honestly think that he should go over, but Sam, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I definitely think he should go over. I mean, Cena's been putting a lot of these NXT guys over anyways, because he's a bit of advocate for the NXT guys anyway, so I can definitely see them putting him over.
In fairness, this is a much different way to put somebody over, though,
yes.
Compared to, anytime he's wrestling with somebody right now, he is putting them over. And that's the one thing that I don't like, the arguments of, well, they're still losing to Cena in this, the Cena Invitational. Yeah, but they're getting very good highlighted matches. Mm-hmm. And for Kevin Owens to come in and now it'll be his, third match, but for 2 out of his first 3 matches to have 2 wins against John Cena, you can split them away and they could go their separate ways, come back to it later on. Mm-hmm. It's still fresh, yep. But that also shows that Kevin Owens is here to stay. And even though we say wins and losses don't matter, this could be a situation where a win does. I mean, Jimmy, what do you think? I mean, do wins and losses still matter?
To a certain extent, they do. But at the same time, when you have a new talent, a young talent you're introducing, and you're trying to, as they say, get him over, having him in the ring with he said it tonight, and it's the truth, the face of the company. This is the guy. And you have him in the ring with a guy like John Cena, and you get the proverbial rub from being in the ring and hanging with a guy like John Cena. It does more for you than, like if John Cena were to lose to all these guys, then it doesn't make it special. Now that Kevin Owens is the one guy that came up and was able to beat John Cena clean in the middle, it makes that win that much more special, but it doesn't take anything away from guys like Neville and Ambrose and even Zack Ryder, who had matches against Cena. I mean, they all benefited from it.
Exactly. And I think that's why they should double down and have Owens win again. Again, just to build that next, I hate to use the phrase, but the next big thing. You know, everybody wants to compare them, even though they're so different, but everyone wants to make a Lesnar comparison because people love comparing things. But we instantly think that match, though, too. And I think that if you want to build him as that next guy, having him double down on a win against Cena is vital.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you in the fact that they definitely need to double down on it. It's making him seem like he's a dominant force, and with him now being a steady person on the main roster, they definitely need to do that, and you can see they're definitely giving him that push.
Jimmy, what did you think about Seth Rollins, kind of the cracks falling apart with the Authority tonight? In case anybody missed it, there was a backstage segment with Triple H and Stephanie. I thought a very poignant quote was Triple H saying that we're banking on it, Money in the Bank in general, but it was just a funny thing to toss out there. There was a backstage segment with J&J where obviously Seth Rollins picked them as his opponent. Jimmy, where do you think that there might? Obviously, we know that it's probably Seth Rollins versus Triple H down the road, but do we see maybe a Rollins face turn? Is it the Authority face turn? No face turn? He just gets kicked out. Where do you see this kind of playing out?
Definitely, the seeds have been planted for Seth Rollins versus Triple H, but I think it's going to be a while. I don't think this is going to be one of those quick things where we'll see it at SummerSlam. If anything, I think Triple H Roman Reigns is probably the direction for SummerSlam. But again, Seth Rollins, the seeds have been planted. I think the Authority showing him a little tough love, so to speak, going into Money in the Bank. And I could see Rollins eventually turning, but I think that's further down the road, maybe as far down as WrestleMania if the Ronda Rousey Rock thing doesn't work out, because I'm kind of holding out hope that Dana White will let her, appear at WrestleMania and we have a mixed tag, because I don't want to see a singles match between Ronda Rousey and Steph.
We're all holding on to that hope right there.
I think that's the one thing we're all secretly hoping is that Dana White's just going to let her out for that one day. That just, you know what I mean? Just let her compete for that one day. Or hoping that she just
doesn't listen to him and does it anyways.
I know. I think it's fun. I think we all want that. Now, Sam, what do you think, though, about what's happening right now with Rollins and the Authority, and even his matchup against Ambrose on Sunday?
Well, I think it's definitely that he's breaking away from the Authority, but I'm not going to say that either the Authority or him are turning face. Yes, I believe that they will turn on each other, but I don't think that necessarily either of them will turn good guy. They can still be both bad guys and just not be together again, kind of like Orton and the Authority. Because whenever he got kicked out of the Authority, it wasn't.
He was face.
They didn't really turn him face.
Come on, he was face. Oh, he was baby face the moment they put him on the shelf.
Well, in name only. I'll say in name only because he's still the Viper. He hasn't changed his style. It's kind of like Stone Cold in a way, where Stone Cold really didn't change his in-ring style. He just changed who he was fighting.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's true. So we saw something different with Rusev tonight. Rusev coming out during the Dolph Ziggler and Kane match, costing Ziggler the match. We saw him kind of indirectly cause Lana to fall off the rampway. Mm-hmm. Lana injuring her ankle. We'll find out more about that. Jimmy, where do you think this is headed?
Obviously, this is setting up when Rusev gets better, Rusev and Ziggler down the road. I'm not a huge fan of the love triangle kind of things. I wish they wouldn't. I understand why they're done, because it, in theory, adds a little bit of a personal touch to any rivalry you get in the ring. I just don't like to see women like. I'm going off the rails a little bit here, and I'm going back to last Wednesday. It wasn't as bad as throwing someone on the train tracks or bumping someone into the train tracks, but still, because there wasn't really any physical contact there. It was just he kind of like got in her way and she stepped off the stage. But still, it's kind of implied. I don't want to say violence against women, but
it's passive aggressive.
Doesn't sit well with me when, yeah.
I don't disagree with it unless it's done tastefully. I thought it was done tastefully, as in the fact. I don't know. I'm loving this storyline simply because I find it humorous. I love when Rusev comes out just screaming, Lana!
Well,
Lana! That's honestly become one of my favorite parts of Raw now, is him just screaming for Lana. So I'm not going to say anything bad about it. I like it simply because it's not where I thought they were going to be going with this, simply because all the rumors were out there that they were going to make Lana become American and they were just going to turn her complete baby face. And I was so worried what they were going to do with the storyline that I've actually enjoyed it. I had low expectations, so I'm actually enjoying the humor and what they're actually giving us.
I'll say this, Jimmy, I'm glad you brought up the TNA debacle, because I actually kind of made a joke about that on Twitter earlier tonight as well, because that's the first thing I thought of. But I don't know. I agree with you about the love triangle thing, too, because here's the one thing that really throws the monkey wrench into this style of love triangle. You know, the IWC, which I am a card-carrying member of, we all know that him and Lana are together in real life. So in a way, there goes the storyline right there. Mm-hmm. You know, and not saying that it necessarily is going to carry over onto the screen, but a lot of times there goes the storyline. I don't know. For me, it should have been either a clean break or just kept them together, one of the two.
I don't know. I like them keeping it like this so that he has a feud with Ziggler as soon as he comes back.
Right. At least it sets him up for something.
And I can actually see a little bit of a swerve, let's call it, and Lana ends up back with Rusev, maybe.
That's a very popular idea right now, and I would like to see that right now more than anything else with this angle.
Yeah, I'd be definitely open to that idea.
Because that would be something fresh that we haven't seen at least in a long time, that would really transcend the reality era of things.
Well, I just think that Lana would pull it off well.
Absolutely.
So that's why I would definitely be down with that idea.
Absolutely.
It's almost like she could say, you know, I did it to get you jealous, and I used this gullible American guy over here to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I needed to get into your head somehow, and this was the only way I knew how.
It would just fit perfectly.
Americans are so easily manipulated, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Canadians too, by the way. I'm just throwing it out there.
That's she would actually be the perfect manager then, to be honest. In today's day and age, she would be the perfect manager, because it is true. Then we saw some a skirmish today with Orton and Sheamus. Orton getting the better of Sheamus. It was more so a brawl than anything else. Scrambled out on the announce table. We saw basically Sheamus getting his head bashed into the steel steps by Orton. Jimmy, what do you like this setup? Are we obviously planting seeds for this feud to go on now?
Yeah, obviously leading into Money in the Bank. I think these two may be destined for afterwards as well. I think back to WrestleMania, the post-WrestleMania Raw in New Jersey, when these two had a match and the roles were reversed. Orton was the heel and Sheamus was the babyface, and the crowd really crapped on the match, which was surprising to me because I thought it was a good match. But now with the roles reversed, a very physical match tonight, and you could see Sheamus, even before the match, you could see a few marks on his back and stuff like that, which is not hard to do to Shinto. It's easy to get a few markings on him, but I like the physicality of it. I like it's different, and I like that. To me, still, Randy Orton is one of the top 3 guys in the business, if not the top guy. He's so smooth, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I've always said that it's unfortunate because a lot of his storylines might not go remembered, but nobody should ever overlook his in-ring ability, because I think he might be the most fluid guy they have, and he just goes so unrecognized.
I actually agree exactly with you, Jimmy. Tonight when they meshed well together, it was just, there was something about it. I was just, Orton was always the same, like we were talking about before. He's like Stone Cold. He doesn't really change. He just changes who he's fighting. But the thing that was different was Sheamus and the brutality that he was bringing to the match that he wasn't bringing when he was a babyface. And so I actually thought that they put on a decent match tonight, which I didn't think in the past. So I was relatively surprised. I liked it.
And Jimmy, you don't know this, but subtly at the beginning, whenever you said that Orton, and I absolutely see where you're coming from, where he kind of hangs in the gray, he's never truly babyface or heel. You just solidified the end of a probably 2 to 3 year long debate between me and her, and you just gave her the victory. So thank you for that, my friend.
Hey, that's what referees do, right?
You know what, Jimmy, I wanted to get your take on the live event out in Japan. Are you excited about it? Think it's a good idea? Long time coming? What do you think about it?
The NXT special in Japan?
Yes.
I didn't hear. Yeah. Actually, I am looking for it. I think it's a great idea. It's an excellent use of the network. I mean, we got the Elimination Chamber special on the network, which was special. This one's going to air live, if I'm not mistaken. Did they say July 4th? But at 6 a.m. East Coast time.
Yep.
So I'll be getting up early on July 4th to be watching that one. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a good step going forward. It's a good test to see how it does. Japan, then you can obviously later on do places like the UK or something special from Australia or wherever it happens to be. When they go back to China, if they can manage to do something there, that would be great.
And
smart business is what it is.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying smart business is what it is. And at the end of the day,
and that's why I was asking if you think it was a long time coming, because I would have. Granted, it's a lot easier now with the network, but I wonder, would this have worked? Do you think as a pay-per-view maybe in the past if they built up a super card? I mean, they used to do it with the UK shows. I think what was it, Resurrection or something like that in the UK.
Insurrection. I think it was
Insurrection. There you go. You go. Yep.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it was Insurrection. And that was something we really couldn't get on American pay-per-view. I mean, is that something you think that they should have tested out a long time ago, or do you think this is the right time?
No, I think it's a good time. The network needs to continuously evolve and bring new. They're obviously bringing new shows, and some of them may appeal to some people, some of them won't. The things that do appeal to people are the live events, and bringing the odd live event to the network, I think, would be great. I think it's a good next step. Where do you go from there? That's a good question, but it's a good first step.
I like what they're doing. I really do, Sam.
No, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what they do for it, because in front of that Japan crowd, that NXT live crowd is going to be insane. And I know that they're going to put on an amazing show just to entertain that crowd and make sure that it's not a miss. I'm just super excited to see what NXT actually does.
It's funny, on the tiny little podcast we do, because Jericho and Balor are set to go on July 3rd over there, I was like, man, if I would do anything in the world for, one of the, the Japanese live events to be on the network, and then here we go 2 weeks later, like special event, July 4th. And I just thought to myself, it's going to be an early morning for me. It's a good thing I don't barely sleep anyway, because I'll just still be up for some reason.
Yeah. Hey, it doesn't matter to me. 6 a.m. a few Mick Ultras and I'm good.
Right. Exactly. Now we actually had a tweet coming earlier, Jimmy. It was from a fan. Sam, if you could pull it up on your phone, because I just want to be able to see who sent it in. But a question came in that, what was your favorite match to ever referee?
Obviously, I point a lot to the WrestleMania 24 match with The Undertaker versus Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship. Main event of WrestleMania. It doesn't get bigger than that. To be in the ring with two legends like that, Hall of Famer Edge and the first ballot Hall of Famer Undertaker, when he decides to hang him up, and he's going in for sure. That was an incredible feeling. It's indescribable what it felt like. With two guys that I really respect very much in the industry. But outside of that, because that seems to be the obvious choice, because if you can see right over my shoulder over here, it's the picture on the cover of my book, which there was a SmackDown match that I did, and it was in Chicago, and it was Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle that stretched through 3 segments of SmackDown, and that one I remember specifically was a lot of fun. That one was there's so many, it's hard to just narrow it down, and there's probably a bunch I forgot.
It's one of those, depending on the day, something else might pop into your head. That kind of
exactly. And I get people sometimes say, "Hey, do you remember this match?" And I'll go, "I do now."
Right. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but you actually have worked with Cal Edwards before, and you've worked with Renee Young before, too.
Yes. Aftermath, when it first originated here in Canada, it was actually the brainchild of Kyle Edwards, who was known as Ardo Cal back then. It was his idea on the Score Television Network up here in Canada. He brought it to television and to radio. And Renee was the host of the show, and he was one of the panelists on the show as well. And as time evolved and I managed to get myself on the show, I became really, really good friends with Kyle. And Renee is awesome. She's so talented. It's unbelievable. And we became the threesome, the regular three on Aftermath on a weekly basis. It was twice a week back then. And Arda and I would do live radio right after Raw on Monday nights. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. And I'm still having fun. But you know, I'm glad for them. It was Kyle's lifelong dream to join the WWE as a broadcaster. And man, it just goes to show you, follow your dreams. They will come true. Renee, the sky's the limit for her.
That's the one thing is Renee Young she has fans. It doesn't matter. Men, women, everybody loves Renee Young. And because she seems so genuine, so relatable, so down to earth.
Her personality is amazing. How can you not love her? It's just simple math, science. You just love Renee Young. That's like natural selection right there.
And Kyle Edwards is a really good guy too.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. It's obviously not to overshadow him. It's just Renee Young gets a lot of fanfare. We'll just say that.
Oh, of course.
Let me see, Sam. Did you want to talk about any last thoughts real quick before we get maybe just a quick Money in the Bank prediction?
No, just other than the fact that I was surprised that not Jamie Noble, but Joey Mercury actually spoke tonight on Raw. How long have I been complaining that I wanted Jamie Noble to put a sock in it, and now Joey Mercury's finally talking again. Right. Yay.
Now, Jimmy.
That was just exciting for me.
She's easily excitable sometimes. You have to excuse her. Jimmy, is there anything that you think we should be looking out for this Sunday at Money in the Bank? Something like maybe a sleeper storyline or a sleeper twist that nobody's going to see coming, or a match that might sneak up on everybody that might be, man, that ended up stealing the show and we weren't even expecting it to, just something like that?
Here's what I'd like to see, and it's a term we use on Aftermath. My hamster is on the wheel right now, and I'm trying to, fantasy book, as we call it. We all do it. So I want to see something different at Money in the Bank. Obviously, in the Money in the Bank match, Roman Reigns, I think, is the odds-on favorite for the match. I'd like to see something different. What I'd like to see is, as whoever it is, whether it is Roman Reigns, whoever it happens to be, is like fingertips away from grabbing the briefcase. I'd like to hear Brock Lesnar's music hit, have him come out and just wipe out everybody, take the briefcase and leave with it, and then find out on Monday Night Raw the next night through Paul Heyman that the reason Brock came and took the briefcase was he's coming after his championship, and he's not going to let happen to him what happened at WrestleMania. He's not going to let anybody the opportunity to cash in like Seth Rollins did at WrestleMania. So he kind of takes it just so it can't get used.
I've been hearing different things about that. Like that is an alternative. I would love it. I know you were marking out about the idea.
I like the idea, but don't get me wrong. Do you think that people got mad whenever Brock Lesnar had the championship for so long, but it was simply because he was never around? Do you really think WWE would be willing to go ahead and give it right back to Lesnar? What do you think about it, Jimmy?
No, I don't think it right back to him. Obviously, when he comes back, I'm suspecting he's going to be a huge babyface. I mean, the people are going to love him. They're going to cheer him like crazy. But if Seth Rollins, one thing that Seth Rollins did is, despite being an internet favorite, he's done a great job at being a heel and getting booed and getting the quote proper reaction that the heel's supposed to get. So by him finagling his way out of matches and still retaining the title by whatever means against Brock Lesnar without actually defeating Brock Lesnar, and this carrying on, I think you can carry on a feud between them two for a while.
Okay.
Instead of him winning the title right away. It's kind of like what Ric Flair used to do back in the day. I like that idea better,
because I was thinking that if you gave him Money in the Bank, he would use it almost instantly and go right back into being champion.
No, but don't get me wrong. He's not Money in the Bank. He's not the Money in the Bank winner because he's not in the match. He just takes it and won't let anybody else be the Money in the Bank recipient.
Basically, he wins Money in the Bank.
Well, he's holding Money in the Bank hostage. That's all.
Yes.
There's no.
Yeah, but if he grabs it, he automatically gets it.
Well, no,
doesn't matter.
But he's technically not in the match.
Grab it.
it doesn't mean he gets it. It just means nobody else can get it. It's like, you know, that bully in school that was like, no, I don't really want it. It's just none of you can have it either. And that's
exactly.
Jimmy, one last thing before you let you go for the night, brother. I know we talked real briefly at the beginning. You said you're an old school comedian. Who's your favorite comedian of all time?
Richard Pryor.
Oh, nice.
I'm an old school Richard Pryor guy. I remember as a kid, I had his albums, and I'd have to quietly listen to them, so my mom wouldn't freak out when she did hear him every once in a while. There was a little bit of yelling, but I said, "Hey, it's comedy. What are you going to do?"
And at the end of the day, I'm sure she wasn't saying anything any worse than what you were hearing. So, I mean,
well, after she heard that, I heard a few words, yeah, and usually in Greek though. That's the difference.
I grew up on the same. It was a lot of Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, and George Carlin. So I grew up on the same.
Absolutely.
But Jimmy, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. It was an absolute honor on our part. I'm glad you could spend
Have you got
time
2 minutes? Have you got 2 minutes?
What's that?
I want to show you guys a few things that nobody really has ever seen, because I'm actually technically right here in my little office, so might as well show you a little something that people don't get to see. Little collections, right? You saw the thing behind me here, the book here. I got a wall here. I don't know if you can see this sort of stuff here, and I'm trying to get it. Can you see that? A little pin of WrestleMania pins or whatever. I'm trying to get it in there.
Oh, okay.
Some pictures from Iraq. A little bit of memorabilia, that sort of stuff, and autograph stuff. And here's the huge poster from Malaysia with The Rock on it from our SmackDown tour and stuff like that. Picture of Vince and I at the airport. Right there. just a few little things. I thought I'd just throw them out there.
So the one thing we can safely say, my friend, is that the business has never left your heart. You may have left the business, but your heart is always going to be in this business.
Well, I will say this. This past weekend, there's a local promotion that runs here in Toronto. They run once a month, and I get my fix doing a little something with them. It's called Smash Wrestling here in Toronto, and this weekend, I had the pleasure of refereeing a match between Chris Hero and Samoa Joe, one of his last dates that he's fulfilling before he heads to the WWE full time, and that was really cool. I mean, I was thinking to myself, I said, I really would love to referee a Samoa Joe match. And then I thought back, and I think I did way back in like 2004 when he was on Velocity or something, when he had the blonde hair, but. Yeah. It was really cool, and it was for a great cause. It was a charity event for ALS, and we packed the place, and it was awesome.
That's
Good
awesome! Congratulations!
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool that you had one of Samoa Joe's last matches before he finally went full time with WWE.
And the beauty of it going to a great cause too. That's fantastic. It shows a lot about your character too, brother.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Two great guys too. Chris Hero. Can't say enough good things about. I'll tell you this too. The next day, Chris Hero went to a training facility up in Waterloo, Ontario, called Crossbody Academy, and his challenge was for every $500 donated to ALS, he was going to wrestle a half hour, and he ended up wrestling for 3 straight hours against, I want to say, 6 or 7 different opponents, maybe 8, but he did 3 straight hours. The guy's a machine, and one hell of a nice guy.
And I think it was something like that, when you're doing a benefit like that, it shows, because anybody that knows anything knows that 3 straight hours is damn near impossible.
Yeah, we were a little concerned about him after about an hour. I mean, he's gone an hour. He's gone 90 minutes before, but 3 hours is something else. But wow, hats off.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Now, Jimmy, we know you're a Toronto boy, and I love this. I love the country of Canada. I have a lot of friends up there, and we know. So, other than Toronto, before we go, what was your favorite city to ever work in?
Tough call. You know what? Maple Leaf Gardens here in Toronto was considered Madison Square Garden North back in the day. The first time I got to referee at Madison Square Garden, you say to yourself, when did you know that you made it, so to speak? I kind of knew it before then, but the first time I got the referee at Madison Square Garden, an incredible feeling, and obviously you got to love places like Chicago too. But I love, you know what? I like overseas stuff. I love going to Europe. I'm one of those guys. So, but North America wise, it's got to be the Garden.
So it's we're busybodies. We like to we're nomads, so to speak, if we could be. Jimmy, thank you so much for taking time and taking some extra time with us too. I mean, that's one thing. Not that I wanted to cut you off. I just thought maybe you were tired of us. So thank you for staying on a little longer with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's not a problem at all. I'm a night owl, so this is no problem for me.
Good
you're
deal.
cutting into my hashtag wars,
you're talking to another bad night owl right here.
Yeah.
So.
You're cutting into my hashtag wars, though. I gotta
That's
get
true.
on.
I should let you go at this point. Yeah, I should have to go. But guys, that was Jimmy Korderas, 22-year ring vet in the WWE. Author, yes, guys, author. I say that because, guys, read a book, please. We forgot the lost art of print, and I promise you, this is something I didn't know about before. I'm going to get the book because I read some of the stories that are in there. Trust me, it's a must read. Sam, any last words before we go?
No, I just, again, wanted to thank you for coming on with us and hope that everyone joins us next week for next week's Raw review.
Yep, and guys, we'll see you on Sunday afternoon for the pre-show for Money in the Bank. We're going to have our review show, or warm-up show, rather. So for Sam, myself, special guest Jimmy Korderas, and everybody at WrestlingRumors.net, my name is Adam. Thanks so much for following us tonight and watching us. Make sure you're subscribing to our channel. Let people know that we're now on WrestlingRumors.net. Let people know that Jimmy Korderas was on with us and how fantastic of a guy he is, too. And we will see you next week.